Hi students, this is Ms. Tai here. In this video, we will review 5 questions to get you ready for the new digital SAT. Grab a notebook and pencil and let's get started. You'll notice that these 5 questions are all short response questions, so there are no multiple choice responses for you to choose from. So be very mindful of how you solve the problems. A printer produces posters at a constant rate of 42 posters per minute. At what rate in posters per hour does the printer produce the posters? So right now we have 42 posters happening in 1 minute. But we want to identify the number of posters in 1 hour. Remember, there are 60 minutes in 1 hour. So we can go ahead and multiply this fraction by 60 minutes over 1 hour. Because technically 60 minutes and 1 hour are equal. So you can multiply it by this fraction. Notice the units of minutes will cancel out. And now we're left with 42 times 60 over 1 hour. So we'll have our 0 over here. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 4 is 24 plus 1 is 25. So that's 2,520 posters in 1 hour. So that's going to be our final answer, 2,520. The function f is defined by the equation f of x equals 7x plus 2. What is the value of f of x when x equals 4? Since x is our input, we can go ahead and evaluate f of 4, which means we will have 7 times 4 plus 2. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 2 is 30. So f of 4 equals 30. Now let's get some extra practice evaluating functions. Take a look at this example. If g of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 4, find the following. The first question is asking us to evaluate g of 0. That means when x is 0, what is the value of g of x? So we can go ahead and replace x with 0. We will have 0 squared minus 3 times 0 plus 4. That is 0 squared, which is 0 times 0, is just 0. Minus 3 times 0, that's also going to be 0. And then we're going to go ahead and add 4. So we know that g of 0 equals 4. If we were looking at this function on the coordinate plane, the point 0, 4 would be on the actual graph. And for those of you who are savvy with graphing and identifying parent functions, you should know that this is a parabolic function, also known as the quadratic function, because we have the x squared term right here. Let's take a look at this third example right here. G of x plus 5. In this case, we will replace x with x plus 5. This one's a little bit different, so I definitely want us to take some time to review it. When evaluating g of x plus 5, we will have x plus 5 squared minus 3 times x plus 5, and then we're going to go ahead and add 4 towards the end. When we square x plus 5, we know that that is simply multiplying the binomial x plus 5 by itself. We can also distribute -3, so we now have minus 3x and minus 15, and we're going to go ahead and add 4. Now we can apply the FOIL method. That is first, which is x times x, which is x squared, outer, which is x times 5, or 5x, inner, which is 5 times x, which is another 5x, and last, 5 times 5 is 25. We also have minus 3x, and I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms here because -15 and +4 are like terms. -15 plus 4 is -11. Let's see what other like terms we have. I can see 5x and 5x, which is 10x, minus 3x, which is 7x. So we can go ahead and bring down x squared because it doesn't have a like term. And we will add 7x. And then I do see We have two more like terms here. We have positive 25 and negative 11. These are both constants. When we subtract, we get 5 minus 1 is 4, 2 minus 1 is 1. So we have plus 14. So when evaluating g of x plus 5, the actual answer is x squared plus 7x plus 14. So each of these questions is phrased just a little bit differently. If we look at the second example here, we're going to do the same thing as we did for the first example. We're going to replace x with negative 1/4. For this example, we're going to replace x with 1 over a. So they're all very similar. For this one, I just wanted you to pay attention to 3 times g of a. You're going to evaluate g of a, meaning we're going to replace x with a, and then multiply your final answer by 3. We will cover more problems like this in the future. A teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of questions worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. Which equation represents this situation, where x represents the number of 1-point questions and y represents the number of 3-point questions? So we know that the total number of points is 70. It makes sense that all of these answer choices are set equal to 70. Since there are x 1-point questions, we will have 1 times x, and y 3-point questions, we will have 3 times y, and the total number of points will be 70. So 1x plus 3y equals 70, or simply x plus 3y equals 70. So D is the correct answer. Right triangles LMN and PQR are similar, where L and M correspond to P and Q respectively. Angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. What is the measure of angle Q? Let's draw a diagram. We now have two right triangles that are similar. Recall that when triangles are similar, they will have the same shape but different sizes. They will also have two properties that you need to remember. Corresponding sides are proportional and corresponding angles are congruent. For the purposes of this problem, we're not really concerned with the sides. We are focusing on the angles. So we know that these are right triangles, so one of the angles are going to be right and that the two triangles are similar. So we have one given piece of information regarding the angles. We have that angle M has a measure of 53 degrees. So let's put angle M over here and say that that's 53. And then we can call this L and N. We don't really know for sure, but we do know that M is 53. So now that we have LMN, typically when you are writing out similar triangles, the order in which the letters are listed need to be consistent. So since L came first and we put L as the right angle, we're going to have P first and we're going to put P as the right angle. Since M is the 53-degree angle, Q will also be a 53-degree angle. And since this is a right triangle, 90 plus 53 plus the missing angle here must give us 180. So let's calculate. 90 plus 53 plus our missing angle, let's call it x, equals 180. We can add these two together. So we now have 143 plus x equals 180. We will subtract 143 on both sides. And now we have x equals 37. So our missing angle here is 37 degrees. Let's take a look at what the question is actually asking for. So we have, what is the measure of angle Q? So since angle M corresponds to angle Q, it will also be 53 degrees. So we actually didn't need to find the third angle at all, which is fine. So we know that since M is 53, Q is also going to be 53 degrees. So B is the correct answer. Let's continue. The solution to the given system of equations is x comma y. What is the value of x? So when solving a system of equations algebraically, you have two options. You can do the elimination method or the substitution method. But typically, when one of the equations is already set equal to one of the variables, meaning the variable is already isolated, I prefer to do the substitution method because I can simply replace y with negative 3x. So we would now have 4x plus negative 3x equals 15, right? Because y is equal to negative 3x. So anytime I see y, I can put negative 3x. 4x plus negative 3x is simply x, and x is 15. Look how simple that was. And now that we have x is 15, we can substitute that into our first equation. So y equals -3 times 15. -3 times 15 is -45. So y is -45. So our solution is 15, comma, -45. But the question is, what is the value of x? And we can see that x is going to be 15. So C is the correct answer. If you learned something in this video, please go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Toodles!